Life doesn't change by chance, it changes by choice. Every single day, each person is given countless opportunities to make decisions that can alter the direction of their life. Some choices are small and seem insignificant, while others feel heavy and intimidating. But whether big or small, every decision holds the power to shape your future. The truth is, your life right now is a direct reflection of the choices you've made up until this moment. That might be a hard truth for some to accept, but it's also an empowering one, because it means that if you don't like where you are, you can choose to change it. Most people wait. They wait for the right time, the perfect opportunity, the ideal condition. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more money, or I'll change when life calms down. But life never slows down. Circumstances rarely become perfect, and waiting only delays your destiny. The most successful, fulfilled, and transformed individuals are not the ones who waited. They are the ones who decided. They made a choice even when they were scared, uncertain, or underprepared. They chose to move forward anyway. That's what it takes to level up your life. It all begins with a decision, not a feeling, not a wish. A clear, firm decision. A decision to stop living on autopilot. A decision to no longer be a prisoner to the past. A decision to refuse mediocrity and step boldly into who you were created to be. Because at the end of the day, nothing will change until you do. The outside world mirrors the choices you make internally. There's a dangerous lie that says people are stuck where they are because of luck, or because of how they were raised, or because of the hand life dealt them. And while circumstances can influence us, they don't have the final say. Choice does. You can rise above your background. You can break generational cycles. You can overcome setbacks. But none of that starts until you decide it does. The power is not out there somewhere. It's within you. It's always been within you. It's not about having all the answers right now. You don't have to map out every step of the journey. All you need to do is make the choice to start. Start growing. Start healing. Start believing. Start showing up for yourself like never before. Even the smallest choice in the right direction carries momentum. One step becomes two. One decision becomes a lifestyle. And eventually, your entire life begins to elevate because of one powerful moment when you said, I'm not staying where I am. I choose more. I choose more. I choose better. I choose growth. This is your turning point. This is the line in the sand. Every level of your life will demand a new level of you, and that version is unlocked the moment you decide to stop settling. You weren't born to remain stuck, confused, or defeated. You were created to rise, to conquer, to lead, to grow. But it starts with a choice. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier, but right here, right now. Choose growth. Choose courage. Choose to take control of your life. Because no one else can do it for you, and no one else has the right to decide your future. That power belongs to you. Use it. Excuses are comforting, but they are also dangerous. They whisper lies that protect you from discomfort while quietly robbing you of progress. They sound like, it's not my fault, or I can't help it, or if only things were different. But every time an excuse is made, a little bit of power is handed away. The truth is, you cannot lead a powerful life while clinging to powerless language. You cannot rise to your potential while blaming everything and everyone around you. If you want to level up your life, the first and most important step is to choose responsibility over excuses. Responsibility doesn't mean taking blame for things that aren't yours, and it doesn't mean beating yourself up for the past. It simply means owning your choices, owning your mindset, and owning the results of your actions. It means saying, this is my life, and I take full responsibility for how I respond, how I grow, and where I go from here. When you stop pointing fingers and start looking inward, you take back your authority. You stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, and you become your own rescue plan. Excuses feel like protection, but they are chains. They keep you bound to your current level. They are inaction. They validate poor habits, and most dangerously, they silence your potential. Because as long as an excuse exists, the mind believes there's no need to change. But there is a need. There is a calling. There is greatness on the inside of you that can only be unlocked through radical responsibility. Every excuse you tear down becomes an open door to a new possibility. Taking responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means your future. Your responsibility. It means you stop letting circumstances define your mindset. It means you stop allowing people's actions to dictate your emotions. It means you stop telling the same old story that has kept you stuck and start writing a new one that moves you forward. When you own your power, you stop being a victim of life and start becoming the author of your destiny. Many people fear responsibility because it feels heavy. But what's heavier is regret. What weighs you down isn't the burden of ownership. It creates results. When you say, no more excuses, you start tapping into strength you didn't know you had. You start finding solutions instead of complaining about problems. You start building instead of wishing. And before you know it, you're living at a level you once only dreamed of. Responsibility is not just about what you do. It's about who you become. It develops character. It builds resilience. It teaches you to stop reacting and start creating. Life becomes less about what happens to you and more about what you choose to do with it. And when that shift happens, you begin to experience real transformation. You begin to level up, not because everything got easier, but because you got stronger. There will always be reasons to make excuses. Life will never be perfect. People will disappoint you. Setbacks will happen. Challenges will arise, but excuses will never move you forward. They will never create change. They will never build the life you were meant to live. Responsibility, on the other hand, will do all of that and more. It will stretch you, grow you, challenge you, and ultimately elevate you. So today, make the choice to take full ownership of your life. Not just the easy parts, but all of it. Own your time, own your habits, own your energy, own your growth. When you fully embrace responsibility, you become unstoppable. Because now nothing is holding you back. Not your past. Not your pain, not your fear. You rise above it all, not by chance, not by luck, but by choice. The choice to take control, to stand tall, and to build a future that reflects the greatness within you. No more excuses, no more delays. No more waiting for someone else to fix what only you have the power to change. This is your life. This is your moment. Choose responsibility and watch how everything begins to shift in your favor. Growth and comfort do not coexist. You cannot remain in your comfort zone and expect to grow into the person you were born to be. Comfort is easy. It's predictable, familiar, and safe. But comfort has a cost, and that cost is your potential. Every time you choose what's easy over what's necessary, you delay your breakthrough. You postpone your transformation. The truth is, if you want to level up your life, you have to make the intentional, often difficult, and always courageous choice to pursue growth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's human nature to avoid discomfort. We're wired to seek safety, to repeat routines, to do what we've always... But what is safe isn't always right. What is familiar isn't always fruitful. Growth lives on the edge of discomfort. It requires new thinking, new habits, and new levels of discipline. And all of those things will stretch you. They will confront you. They will confront you. They will challenge the parts of you that want to stay the same. But that's the point. Growth demands change. It demands that you evolve beyond what's easy and step into what's possible. When you chase comfort, you settle for less. You settle for routines that no longer serve you. You settle for relationships that drain you. You settle for beliefs that limit you. And often people don't even realize they're stuck. Because comfort can feel good for a while. It can feel like peace, but it's really stagnation in disguise. True peace comes from progress. It comes from knowing you're moving, evolving, becoming. Comfort offers temporary relief. Growth offers lasting reward. Choosing growth means saying yes to the things that scare you because they challenge you. It means having the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. It means waking up earlier when you'd rather hit snooze. It means showing up with integrity even when no one is watching. Growth isn't glamorous.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, it's gritty. It looks like frustration. It looks like failure. It looks like falling and getting back up over and over again. But that process is what strengthens you. That process is what builds confidence, wisdom, and maturity. That process is where transformation is born. People often ask, how do I become more confident? The answer is, you grow through what you fear. Confidence doesn't come from staying in the same place. It comes from doing the hard thing and realizing you're stronger than you thought. It comes from proving to yourself over and over again that you can do what you once thought was impossible. That's the gift of growth. It rewrites your identity. It shifts your self-perception. It shows you what you're truly made of. There's a voice in your head that will always try to convince you to stay comfortable. It will say, you've done enough, or what if you fail? But growth requires that you silence that voice and move anyway. Fear might still be there. Doubt might still be there. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. And when you do, you start to experience a different kind of life. One filled with purpose, alignment, and fulfillment. One where you stop settling and start expanding. The life you want will not be handed to you. It will be grown into. And that growth begins the moment you choose to leave comfort behind. Whether it's stepping into a new opportunity, breaking an old habit, or pursuing a long-buried dream, growth requires action. It requires risk. But what you gain on the other side is worth every sacrifice. You gain perspective. You gain wisdom. You gain wisdom. You gain the ability to lead, to inspire, and to rise. And most importantly, you gain alignment with your highest self. Every time you choose growth, you prove to yourself that you are not a prisoner of your past. You are not limited by who you used to be. You are not defined by your failures. You are a living, breathing, evolving force of purpose and potential. And that potential can only be realized when you make the hard, holy choice to stretch, to grow beyond what's comfortable and into what's divine. Growth is not something that happens by accident. It's a decision. It's a mindset. It's a way of living. It's waking up every day and asking, how can I be better than I was yesterday? Not for perfection, but for purpose. Not to impress others, but to fulfill your calling. That kind of growth changes everything. Not just your results, but your heart. Not just your performance, but your perspective. It's the foundation for elevation, and it's a choice you can make today. So don't run from discomfort. Run toward it. Don't avoid the challenge. Embrace it. Don't fear the stretch. Celebrate it. Because the stretch is what shapes you. The stretch is where you level up. And if you want to become everything you were created to be, you must learn to love the process of becoming. Comfort might feel safe, but growth will set you free. Motivation is powerful, but it's not reliable. It comes and goes like the wind. Sometimes it's strong, and other times it's nowhere to be found. If your progress depends on feeling motivated, your growth will always be inconsistent. The truth is, motivation may get you started, but it's discipline that keeps you going. Discipline is the daily choice to honor your commitment long after the excitement has faded. It's what separates those who dabble from those who dominate. If you want to level up your life, you must stop waiting for inspiration and start building a life on discipline. Discipline is not about harshness. It's about alignment. It's about training your mind and your body to act in agreement with your vision, even when your emotions don't feel like cooperating. Emotions fluctuate. Some days you wake up ready to take on the world. Other days you don't even want to get out of bed. Discipline ignores the emotional weather and says, I made a decision, and I'm going to follow through. That kind of consistency is rare, and that's exactly why it's powerful. When you choose discipline, you stop letting feelings dictate your future. You take control of your direction, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. The world loves to glorify the feeling of motivation, the adrenaline rush of a new goal, the excitement of a fresh start. But what happens when the excitement wears off? What happens when things get hard? Progress feels slow, and the results aren't immediate. That's when most people quit. That's when they start over again and again, always chasing a feeling, but never building a foundation. Discipline is the foundation. It's the quiet, daily commitment to show up. It's the decision to be excellent when no one is watching. It's the standard you set for yourself, whether you feel like it or not. You don't need to feel motivated to act. You need to act in spite of how you feel. The beautiful thing is, when you act with discipline, motivation often follows. Action generates momentum. A momentum builds confidence, and confidence produces motivation. It's a cycle, but it starts with discipline. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for the sun to shine before you start planting seeds. The wise farmer plants in every season. The wise person builds habits that don't depend on mood. And in time, those habits produce a harvest far greater than what fleeting motivation could ever create. Discipline is also a declaration. It says to the world, and more importantly, to yourself, that your commitment is stronger than your craving for ease, that your vision means more to you than temporary comfort. Every time you choose discipline, you reinforce a mindset of excellence. You strengthen your ability to follow through. You prove that you are someone who can be trusted with your own goals. That self-trust is gold. It's what builds confidence, character, and credibility. When you know that you can count on you, everything begins to shift. Building discipline doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. You will slip. You will miss days. You will fall short. But discipline doesn't demand flawlessness. It demands that you get back up, that you realize, that you return to your commitment with even greater focus. Discipline is a relationship you build with yourself over time. And like any relationship, it requires patience, forgiveness, and consistency. The more you honor your word to yourself, the stronger that bond becomes. There is deep freedom in discipline. It may sound like restriction, but it's actually the opposite. It frees you from the tyranny of your moods. It frees you from living at the mercy of your circumstances. It frees you to live intentionally, powerfully, and with clarity. People who live by discipline don't need to rely on motivation because they've built something more solid. Habits, routines, and systems that carry them through. That kind of structure creates space for greatness. That kind of structure supports the life most people only dream about. Anyone can act when they feel like it. But champions, leaders, and legacy builders act whether they feel like it or not. They understand that greatness is not a single act. It's a habit. It's doing the right thing when it's boring. It's showing up when it's inconvenient. It's staying committed when it's hard. Discipline turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. It's not about talent. It's not about being the best. It's about being consistent. And consistency over time wins every time. So if you want to change your life, don't chase motivation, cultivate discipline. Get clear on what matters most. Set a standard you refuse to drop. And then act in alignment with that standard every single day. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You just need to decide, this is who I am now. This is how I show up. This is the standard I live. Because when discipline becomes your default, success becomes inevitable. Pleasure is easy to chase. It's instant, it's accessible, and it promises a quick escape from discomfort. But purpose requires something deeper. It demands sacrifice. It asks for long-term vision. It invites you to live beyond the moment and into meaning. The problem is, most people are conditioned to seek short-term satisfaction instead of long-term fulfillment. They choose what feels good now and ignore what matters most. But if you want to level up your life, you must learn to choose purpose over pleasure. Not just once, but daily, intentionally, and relentlessly. Pleasure isn't wrong, but it becomes dangerous when it replaces purpose. It becomes destructive when it's used to numb, avoid, or distract from what truly needs your attention. Temporary comfort can delay permanent transformation. That moment of indulgence, that habit of procrastination, that pattern of escapism, what might feel good in the moment, but it robs you of the deeper satisfaction that only purpose can bring. The rush fades, the craving returns, and the cycle repeats. Meanwhile, purpose sits quietly in the background, waiting for you to remember why you started. Purpose doesn't scream, it calls. It whispers in your soul and reminds you that you were made for. It reminds you that you have a role to play, a legacy to build, and a life to live that means something. Purpose anchors you when life gets chaotic. It gives your vein a reason, your effort a direction, and your journey a meaning. But purpose will often ask you to give up things that feel good, but cost too much. It will ask you to deny the moment for the sake of the mission. And that's where many people walk away. Not because they don't have purpose, but because they're unwilling to pay the price. Every time you choose purpose over pleasure, you take a step toward becoming who you were born to be. You train yourself to think beyond this moment. You tell yourself that your future matters more than fleeting indulgence. And little by little, you develop a kind of strength and discipline that most people never touch, because most people are still chasing the next high, the next distraction, the next escape. But you're building. You're aligning your actions with your calling, and that alignment is what creates real power. Choosing purpose means asking yourself hard questions. Is this helping me or hurting me? Is this decision moving me closer to who I want to be or pulling me further away? Am I choosing what's easy or what's right? These are the questions that guide a life of impact. They cut through the noise. They pierce the illusions. They help you separate what looks good from what is good. Because not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everything that's available is beneficial, and not everything that's popular is purposeful. The world glorifies play. It tells you to do what you want, when you want, how you want. It tells you that success is found in how much you can indulge, consume, or accumulate. But real fulfillment isn't found in consumption. It's found in function. It's found in contribution. Found in living on purpose. When you choose purpose, you stop asking, oh, what do I feel like doing? And you start asking. You won't always feel like choosing purpose. Some days, pleasure will look easier. It will look more fun. It will seem more appealing. Those moments you must remember what you're building. You must remember the life you're working to. You must remember that true satisfaction is not found in shortcuts, but in showing up consistently for the calling on your life. There's a kind of joy that only purpose can provide. It's not loud, but it's lasting. It doesn't give you a rush, but it gives you peace. It doesn't fade when the moment passes. It deepens as you grow. When you choose purpose, you stop wasting time. You stop living for weekends, distractions, and dopamine. You start living for impact, alignment, and truth. Your decisions become more intentional. Your relationships become more meaningful. Your direction becomes more clear. Purpose simplifies life because it eliminates what doesn't belong. It quiets the noise. It removes the clutter. It draws your focus toward what truly matters and frees you from being ruled by your impulses. You weren't created just to survive. You weren't made just to feel good for a moment and then feel empty again. You were created for purpose, for significance, for impact. And that impact begins with a decision to stop chasing momentary pleasure and start living for something greater. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to make the choice. Right here, right now. Choose purpose over... Because the life you desire, the person you're meant to become, and the legacy you're here to leave, they're all waiting on the other side of that choice. Fear is loud. It screams at your potential. It tells you all the reasons why you shouldn't try, why you won't make it, why you'll fail. It floods your mind with worst-case scenarios and paralyzes your ability to move forward. But faith is quiet confidence. Faith is the still voice that reminds you that you were made for more. It tells you that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. It tells you that even when you can't see how, there is still a way. And if you want to level up your life, you must learn to choose faith over fear, again and again, until it becomes your new instinct. Fear is natural, but it's not meant to be in charge. It's a signal, not a stop sign. It's a feeling, not a fact. Fear thrives in uncertainty and loves to magnify what could go wrong. But faith dares to believe in what could go right. Faith doesn't require all the answers. It just requires a decision. A decision to move, to trust, to act, even when everything in you is screaming to retreat. Choosing faith over fear is not about ignoring what's real. It's about refusing to let fear have the final say in your story. There will always be reasons to be afraid. They're comfortable, familiar, and often socially accepted. But excuses will never change your life. They might protect your pride for a moment, but they'll rob you of your potential in the long run. Taking responsibility, on the other hand, is hard. It demands humility. It requires ownership. But it's the only path to true transformation. If you want to level up your life, you must learn to stop pointing fingers and start pointing inward. You must look in the mirror and say, no one else is responsible for my life but me. That's where the real shift happens. When you choose responsibility over excuses, you reclaim your power. Excuses hand that power over to your circumstances, to your past, to other people. They say, I can't succeed because of this, or I would have made progress if that didn't happen. And while those things may be true, they don't get to decide your future unless you let them. Responsibility is the choice to stop blaming and start building. It's the recognition that even if something wasn't your fault, it's still your responsibility to move forward. That mindset changes everything. It pulls you out of victimhood and positions you as the author of your own story. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's about growth. That doesn't mean you caused every problem in your life, but it does mean you choose to face them with ownership and maturity. Life isn't fair. We all start in different places. Some people face more pain, more loss, more setbacks. But what you do with what you've been given, that's your responsibility. It's easy to get stuck in the trap of comparison and self-pity. Responsibility, though, it's a healing force. It empowers you to rise above what tried to hold you back and do something with your pain. Excuses often sound logical. They're wrapped in just enough truth to feel valid. But no matter how well-reasoned they are, they don't produce change. They don't push you forward. They keep you spinning in the same patterns, stuck in the same cycles. You can't grow and protect your ego at the same time. You have to choose. And growth always requires responsibility. It asks you to examine your choices, your habits, your beliefs. It demands that you get honest about what's working and what's not. That kind of honesty takes courage, but it also builds character. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop waiting for someone else to come fix your life. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, for people to treat you better, for circumstances to line up just right. You stop waiting. You start moving. You start creating. You start becoming. That's what responsible people do. They don't waste time hoping the world will change. They decide to change themselves. And in doing so, they often end up changing the world around them, too. Responsibility sharpens your vision. It clears the fog that excuses create. When you take ownership of your life, you begin to see things more clearly. Your patterns, your blind spots, your tendencies. You become more aware of how your thoughts and actions create your reality. And from that place of awareness, you gain the power to shift. You can't change what you won't confront. But once you confront it, once you say, this is mine to change, everything starts to shift. Responsibility is a doorway. Walk through it, and you enter into a whole new level of self-leadership. Excuses might bring temporary relief, but they also bring long-term regret. Responsibility might be uncomfortable in the short term, but it brings long-term reward. It strengthens your mindset. It builds trust with yourself, creates a foundation of discipline, integrity, integrity, and resilience. Every time you choose responsibility, you're investing in your future self. You're saying, I care more about growth than comfort. I care more about impact than I care more about progress than pride. That kind of mindset isn't common, but it's what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. The truth is, the most successful people aren't the ones who never failed. They're the ones who stopped making excuses and started learning from their failures. They took ownership of every lesson. They applied what they learned. They didn't waste time blaming or complaining. They used every setback as fuel to come back stronger. You can do the same. You don't need a perfect past to create a powerful future. You just need to stop running from responsibility and start embracing it. Own your life. Own your choices. Own your growth. So the next time you're tempted to make an excuse, pause. Ask yourself, is this excuse worth my future? Is this mindset going to take me where I want to go? And then make the harder, braver choice. Take responsibility. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth it. Because your vision, your goals, your legacy, they all depend on your ability to own your life fully. Responsibility is not a burden. It's your breakthrough. Step into it. Live from it. And watch how everything around you begins to change, simply because you did. Comfort is tempting. It's familiar, it's easy, and it gives you the illusion of peace. But comfort without growth becomes a prison. It traps you in patterns that feel safe, but keep you small. If you want to level up your life, you must make the courageous decision to choose growth over comfort, not once, but as a daily way of life. Growth stretches you. It challenges what you know, how you think, and who you believe you are. It's not always fun. It's not always pretty. But it's always necessary, because nothing truly changes in your comfort zone if your potential slipping through your fingers day by day. Comfort is a liar. It whispers, we'll find where you are. But don't stretch. But deep down, something in your soul knows that staying where you are isn't enough. Something in you craves progress. Something in you knows that there's more inside of you. Oh, boy. And when you ignore it, you might feel safe for a season, but eventually that safety starts to suffocate. What once felt peaceful begins to feel like pressure. What once gave you ease now becomes the reason you feel stuck. That's the cost of choosing comfort. It always comes with a quiet kind of regret. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable, but it leads to freedom. It forces you to confront the limits you've accepted. It pushes you to let go of excuses, break cycles, and build new habits. It takes the version of you that's surviving and starts shaping the version of you that's thriving. Growth isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about doing the hard inner work. It's about showing up on the days you'd rather shrink. And as you grow, something powerful happens. Your confidence increases. Your clarity strengthens. Your identity begins to align with your purpose. Choosing growth means you stop settling. You stop tolerating patterns that don't serve you. You stop accepting a life that doesn't stretch or excite you. Growth is never convenient. It rarely fits your schedule. It shows up in the middle of your busy life and demands your attention. But the more you honor it, the more it rewards you. Growth reveals what you're capable of. It brings out strengths you didn't know you had. It builds discipline, character, and wisdom that comfort could never give you. Comfort keeps you repeating. Growth invites you to evolve. Comfort keeps you stuck in what was. Growth launches you into what could be. Every time you choose growth, you're choosing your future over your fear. You're choosing your purpose over your preference. And that choice compounds. Over time, it reshapes your mindset. You begin to crave challenge instead of running from it. You start seeking feedback instead of avoiding it. You begin to embrace change instead of fearing it. That's how powerful the habit of growth can be. It transforms how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. But growth also means loss. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow environments. You will outgrow belief systems that once made sense, but now keep you boxed in. That's not something to fear. It's something to expect. Shedding what no longer fits is part of the process. Growth is rarely comfortable, but it is always clarifying. It shows you who's really for you. It shows you what you truly value. It forces you to focus on what matters. And that focus is what allows you to rise, to lead, to elevate. People who choose comfort stay the same year after year. They live the same story, tell the same excuses, and wonder why nothing changes. But those who choose growth, they evolve. They invest in themselves. They take risks, learn from mistakes, and adapt. They don't let fear of failure stop them because they understand that failure isn't the opposite of growth. It's part of it. You can't avoid discomfort and expect transformation. You must be willing to feel the stretch, to embrace the uncertainty and trust that every step forward, no matter how small, is reshaping your future. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It's a decision, a mindset, a commitment. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel strong. But if you wait until you're comfortable, you'll never begin. The path to the life you want is paved with discomfort, discipline, and deliberate choices. But every challenge you face, every limit you push through, every fear you overcome, it all builds the person you're becoming. And that person, they're stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you can even imagine right now. So if you feel resistance, good. If it feels hard, you're in the right place. Growth isn't supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to change you. It's supposed to strip away what no longer serves you and reveal who you really are. Don't run from it. Don't numb it. Don't retreat into the comfort that's been keeping you from your calling. Stand in it. Lean into it. Choose growth over comfort, even when it's scary, even when it's slow, even when it costs you what's familiar. But you'll gain in return the life of purpose, power, and progress is worth every single step. Motivation is a spark. It feels good. It gets you started. But motivation is also fleeting. It comes and goes with your mood, your energy, your environment. It shows up when things are exciting, but disappears when things get hard. And you build your life around motivation. You'll live in cycles, starting strong, then stalling out. Beginning things, but rarely finishing them. Motivation makes promises that discipline keeps. If you truly want to level up your life, you must learn to rely less on feeling inspired and more on making a decision to show up, no matter what. Discipline is the quiet force that keeps you moving when the excitement fades. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. While motivation is about how you feel, discipline is about what you choose. And that's the secret to progress, consistent action over fleeting emotion. You don't have to feel like doing something in order to do it. You just have to decide that your goal, your future, your purpose is worth more than your current comfort. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's about choosing actions today that reflect the person you want to become tomorrow. The truth is, motivation will abandon you in the moments you need it most. when you're tired, when you're stressed, when nothing is going according to plan. Those are the moments when discipline steps in and says, "Ooey, keep going." It says, "Ooey, do the work anyway." Discipline turns your goals into habits and your habits into results. It's the quiet voice that says, "This matters," even when your emotions are trying to convince you to quit. You won't always feel like showing up, but the version of you're trying to become, they show up. They do the hard things consistently. That's what discipline does. It builds your identity one choice at a time. Waiting for motivation is a trap. You could waste weeks, months, even years waiting to feel ready, waiting for the mood to strike. But successful people understand that readiness isn't a feeling, it's a mindset. They don't wait for the perfect time. They create momentum by taking action. And once that action becomes routine, it no longer requires willpower. It becomes part of who they are. That's the power of discipline. It removes the emotional tug-of-war and replaces it with structure, with consistency, with clarity. There will be days when everything in you wants to take the easy route. When your mind whispers, just skip it. Just start tomorrow. But tomorrow is built on the choices you make today. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast a vote for the life you want. You reinforce your commitment to your vision, and that vision becomes stronger than the temptation to quit. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not exciting, but it's what gets results. And in a world full of noise, the most powerful thing you can do is outwork your excuses. It's easy to admire someone who's ahead, who's successful, who's built something great. But if you look deeper, you'll see that behind every strong person is a trail of discipline choices. They didn't get there by accident. They didn't rely on good days to make progress. They built habits, they built structure, and they stayed with it, even when it wasn't fun. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most motivated. But if you are disciplined, you will win. Because discipline closes the gap between who you are now and who you're capable of becoming. You can set goals all day long. You can write them down, visualize them, talk about them. But goals without discipline are just wishes. What bridges the gap between intention and execution is daily action. Discipline is showing up early. It's staying focused when distractions call. It's saying no to things that don't align. It's making hard choices in favor of a greater outcome. Over time, those choices compound. They create momentum. They produce excellence. And they make you unstoppable, not because you never feel weak, but because you act strong in spite of how you feel. There's freedom in discipline. Most people think it's restrictive, but in truth, it gives you the freedom to live on purpose. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. It frees you from regret. It frees you from the anxiety of wasted time and missed opportunities. When you live with discipline, you gain confidence. You trust yourself more. You know that when you say you'll do something, you'll do it. That trust, that integrity, it's powerful. It builds a foundation that nothing can shake. So the next time you find yourself waiting to feel motivated, stop. Don't wait. Choose discipline. Choose to do the work. Choose to show up. Choose to be consistent, because greatness doesn't come to those who feel like it. It comes to those who are committed enough to act even when they don't. Discipline is the path. Discipline is the edge. Discipline is what will separate your results from your excuses. Live by it and watch your life rise to new levels, simply because you refuse to let emotion dictate your destiny. Distractions are everywhere. They come in all forms. Shiny objects, social media, irrelevant tasks, and the constant pull of urgent demands that often aren't important at all. They're designed to derail you from your path, to steal your focus, and to waste your time. Distractions make you feel busy, but they don't make you productive. They cloud your clarity, fragment your energy, and sabotage your potential. If you want to level up your life, you must learn to choose vision over distraction. Your vision is the compass that guides you, while distractions are the sirens that sing loudly, tempting you to veer off course. Having a vision is what gives you purpose. It's the why behind everything you do. It's the picture of your future that you hold in your heart. The reason you wake up every day with intention. Without a vision, you are easily swayed by external forces. You react to life instead of designing it. But when you have a clear vision, distractions no longer have the same power over you. You begin to make decisions based on where you want to go, not based on what's happening around you. Distractions lose their grip when your vision is stronger than the temptation to deviate. Your vision is your anchor, and it will always pull you back. The problem with distractions is that they're often disguised as important things. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention. Emails, phone calls, social media updates, meetings, and endless notification. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of daily life, chasing after everything that feels urgent and missing what's truly significant. But none of these distractions can take you where your vision can. None of them can create the legacy, impact, or fulfillment that your purpose will. The key is to recognize what's important and filter out the noise. When you choose vision over distraction, you begin to prioritize your time and energy based on your long-term goals, not short-term distractions. Choosing vision over distraction requires discipline and clarity. It's about being intentional with how you spend your time and what you focus on. Vision gives you direction, and direction gives you focus. When you have a clear direction, you can say no to things that don't align with your vision. You stop wasting energy on things that pull you away from your purpose. This takes courage because the world will always demand more of you. But every time you say no to a distraction and yes to your vision, yes to your vision, you get closer to the life you're meant to live. It's a process of filtering out everything that doesn't serve you and narrowing your attention to the things that propel you forward. Distractions often come in the form of instant gratification. They give you temporary pleasure or relief, but they rarely lead to anything meaningful. Watching hours of TV, scrolling mindlessly through social media, or getting caught up in drama, these are easy ways to avoid the work, the effort, and the focus required to build something great. But vision doesn't rely on instant gratification. Vision is about long-term fulfillment. It's about the bigger picture, the impact, and the legacy you want to leave. When you choose vision over distraction, you trade short-term pleasure for long-term satisfaction. You start to align your daily actions with the future you desire, rather than the fleeting moments of escape that keep you stuck in the present. The key to choosing vision over distraction is to regularly revisit your vision. It's easy to lose sight of your purpose in the face of distractions, especially when life gets busy or overwhelming. But when you continually remind yourself of your why, you gain the strength to resist the pull of the urgent but unimportant. It strengthens your ability to make decisions based on your values, not your moods. It helps you stay grounded in what truly matters, so you don't get swept up in the distractions that derail your progress. Remember, distractions are not inherently bad. They're just misdirected energy. They're signs that you need to refine your focus and reconnect with your vision. Every time you feel yourself getting off track, ask yourself, does this align with my vision? Is this helping me move toward my goals? If the answer is no, it's time to refocus. It's time to put your vision back at the forefront of your mind and realign your actions with the life you're creating. It's not about perfection. It's about consistently making the choice to prioritize your vision day in and day out. In a world full of distractions, your vision is the one thing that can set you apart. It's what keeps you grounded in your purpose, even when everything around you feels chaotic. Your vision is what gives you the courage to say no to what doesn't serve you, and yes to the things that will help you grow. It helps you turn down the volume of external noise so you can hear the quiet, steady voice. And when you learn to choose your vision over distractions, you begin to create a life that's not only successful but meaningful. A life that's not defined by what you reacted to, but by what you intentionally created. A life that's aligned with who you are and who you are becoming. So when the distractions come, and they will, remember that your vision is greater, your purpose is louder, and your future is waiting for you to claim it. Remember distraction, you build the life you've always dreamed of. You create a legacy that reflects your commitment, your focus, and your alignment with your deepest goals. Keep your vision in focus and let it guide you through the distractions, one intentional choice at a time. Patience is often seen as a passive virtue. In a world that glorifies speed and instant results, being patient can feel like a weakness. We want what we want, and we want it now. But the truth is, impatience is one of the greatest obstacles to success. Impatience leads to rushed decisions, short-term thinking, and an inability to trust the process. If you want to level up your life, you must choose patience over impatience, not because it's easy, but because it's essential. Allows you to build the foundation that your dreams require, while impatience will only cause you to jump ahead, skipping the steps that ensure long-term success. Chase the next thing, to move faster, to do more, but not everything can be rushed. Some things take time to grow, to mature, to unfold. Think about the process of planting a seed. The seed doesn't grow overnight. It takes time for the roots to form, for the plant to break through the soil, for the flowers to bloom. If you rush the process, if you try to force growth before the plant is ready, you will disrupt the natural rhythm and end up with something less than what you hoped for. The same principle applies to your goals, your career, your relationships, and your personal growth. Patience allows you to trust in the unfolding of the process, knowing that every step, every delay, every challenge is part of the journey. Impatience, on the other hand, makes you focus on the outcome without considering the necessary steps to get there. It clouds your judgment and forces you to chase shortcuts. But shortcuts rarely lead to sustainable success. They lead to burnout, disappointment, and missed opportunities. When you're impatient, you may overlook the valuable lessons that come with. These lessons are what build resilience, wisdom, and character. Qualities that will carry you much further than temporary wins. Patience is the art of understanding that the process is just as important as... It teaches you to value the journey, to appreciate the growth that happens when you're not rushing toward an end goal, but instead working toward it with persistence and trust. The discomfort of waiting is something we all want to avoid. We want to see results quickly, to validate our efforts, to experience the payoff right away. But growth doesn't work on our timeline. It works on its own. It's easy to become discouraged when we don't see the results we expect. But patience teaches us that the absence of immediate results doesn't mean failure. It means that we're in the process. Patience helps you stay grounded during the waiting period. It allows you to keep going, even when you can't yet see the end. It's about trusting that everything is unfolding in perfect timing, even if you can't see the entire picture right now. Choosing patience doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means working hard while trusting that the results will come when the time is right. Patience is active. It's about continuing to put in the effort, staying committed, and having faith that your work will eventually pay off. But it's also about understanding that the universe has its timing, and rushing the process doesn't serve anyone. The most successful people are often the ones who stayed the course, who didn't quit just because the rewards didn't come immediately. They were patient enough to keep putting in the work, even when progress seemed slow. They understood that great things take time to manifest. One of the hardest aspects of patience is letting go of control. We often think that if we push harder, work longer, or hurry the process, we can force things to happen. But the reality is that forcing things rarely works. You cannot force creativity, love, or growth. These things require time, space, and the right conditions to flourish. It teaches you to let go of the need to control every detail and to trust in the timing of things. It asks you to surrender to the flow of life, knowing that sometimes the best opportunities, the best ideas, and the best moments come when you least expect them. You don't have to chase them. They'll find you when the time is right. Patience is also essential in relationships. In our fast-paced world, we expect instant connections and immediate gratification. But the strongest relationships are those that are nurtured over time. They require patience to grow, to deepen, and to mature. Impatience in relationships leads to frustration, misunderstandings, and disconnection. When you're patient with others, you create space for them to be themselves, to grow at their own pace, and to show up as they are. Patience allows relationships to develop naturally, without the pressure of rushing things or expecting instant results. It teaches you to listen, to understand, and to be present, even in the moments of waiting. Choosing patience doesn't mean that you should passively accept things as they are. It means that you trust the process and stay committed to your growth, even when things don't happen on your schedule. It's the belief that the hard work you're putting in today will pay off tomorrow. Patience strengthens your perseverance. It builds your ability to handle setbacks without giving up. And it allows you to enjoy the journey instead of constantly racing toward an elusive finish line. The next time you feel frustrated with the pace of your progress, remember that patience is part of the journey. Remind yourself that the delays, the detours, and the times of waiting are just as important as the moments of success. Every step is a part of your growth. Yeah. Every challenge is a lesson. And every moment of patience is an investment in the future. Trust that everything is unfolding as it should, and keep moving forward, one step at a time.